Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. Before I get into setting up the final planters to the pond, I would like to go over a couple of comments I got on Wednesday's video, which was for the no weld bracket for the pond. Now, there are a couple of options that were kind of interesting. One that I've actually done in the past, which is, if you remember that build for the bracket, instead of having those rods driven in, if you could buy some nylon or other form of plastic nuts and bolts, just run those through and then tighten them down. And that would probably cut off quite a bit of time on that build. It is, again, something I've done in the past for things that I want to have to be more adjustable. But also it is very viable for that kind of build. And the other one is even simpler. It doesn't involve any welding, of course, and also no attachments of acrylic, which is the reason why I didn't include it, because I wanted one where you can actually join acrylic together, which was pretty much the whole idea. The bracket was just something to make, to showcase that kind of idea. But if you wanted to just make a bracket, this is a very simple method, which is simply drill a hole that's the appropriate size, mark out the parts that you want to cut off, cut those parts off, and you have a bracket. It's very, very straightforward. It is a little bit more laterally unstable. It doesn't have the same sort of support that the other ones do, but it holds up the pipe, and it holds the pipe up perfectly fine. There's no way it's ever going to slip and fall off or break or anything like that, because there are no joints. And as you can see here, this is a very quick build. I think it took me maybe 10 minutes. It is comparable to my welding versions, and you do unfortunately need some equipment to cut, but that's pretty much the case for any work you're going to do with acrylic. I obviously recommend having some form of mechanical method for cutting. Hand cutting it, as I've done in that video one time to show you, is not easy, and it is very labor intensive and definitely not worth it. So these are going to be the final 3 planters for at least the initial setup for this pond, because I really want to get that going. For Sunday's video, I am planning on having the rest of these planted. I'm not going to get that to today, but they're going to be planted, and I'm also going to get all the excess plants out of that pond, because I am setting up that U-shaped paludarium at the moment, and a lot of them are going to go there. And then I want to get into the pond, and hopefully, they breed really easily, but I'm not sure if they're going to breed right away. But I do want to get the white clouds breeding, because I have had a request from someone here in Canada that they would like some of the fry. And we are now in September, so this is going to be pushing it. So I definitely want to get some fry as quickly as possible. So we'll see how that goes. So these planters are going to be a little bit different than the first one. I want these to be deeper into the pond. The other one stuck up quite a bit. Now these are going to be, the top will be about 1 inch above the water line. And I think I might at some point cut one of these down, maybe even before Sunday. I'll just run it through the table saw and trim that inch off and put it right flush with the surface, or maybe even slightly below. That does have certain advantages for some things. I'll probably go into that on Sunday when I can show you what I mean. It does add something different for these kinds of planters, so I'm going to hook that up hopefully for Sunday. And then other than that, these are pretty much identical to the one I made on, I think it was last week anyway. And like I said, I want 3 of them, so whenever I do these sorts of things, it's so much simpler to assembly line it as I'm doing here. So I do a weld, move it to the side, and it cures in moments, because you've seen me do this lots of times. But it allows me to go straight to another weld. I don't have to worry about fiddling with it, and it cuts down on the time for making these quite a bit. Now, I did edit some of this out and sped some of it up, but the original footage for this was, I think, 16 minutes. So this is 16 minutes from one end to the other to get these all set up. So that's another reason why, even though the no weld turned out actually quite nicely, if you're going to make something like this, like these planters, I just don't recommend doing a no weld approach. There's just too much work. It's not acrylic is not designed for this. It's not the same as if you're working with wood or metal. It is difficult to join together because it is very hard to glue, and you obviously can't drive in nails or screws or anything like that. You can, again, as I said in that build, the option for that build, you can use nylon bolts and that sort of thing for this, but it is a lot more labor intensive. This, as you can see, is really straightforward, and it doesn't take long to do. And if you're doing multiples, as I am here, it also really drastically cuts down on the time it takes to put this sort of thing together. So these planters are going to have planted in them. So far I have a variation on a couple of canes. I'm going to put one of those in there for sure. I am going to get the other peace lily out of its pot and divide that up and put into this as well. And one of them I had already taken out, and I was planning on putting in here. It's actually already been conscripted, and it is already in the U-shaped palliadarium. And a lot of these also will probably get taken apart and replanted into that as well. I have a lot of space in that I need to fill up. They aren't yet open. Everything keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed. But in time, they are definitely going to be open, and they're going to have a lot of material in there. And that's that's why I'm doing all of this in this particular setup, to make sure I have material for them. So this is probably going to be pretty much the last of the builds for the pond, I think, for a while. There will definitely be lots of updates on Sundays. I am, of course, going to do an update for the white clouds. I'm going to show you, hopefully, some eggs and fry and that whole process. I'm not sure if that's going to warrant its own video. I did show you on Sunday, I did pick up some new bettas, and they're doing fine, the females, and I am going to be setting those up for breeding as well. And of course I have a lot more tanks to do. Now, I know it's been a while, and I haven't gotten to showing you guys anything about it since I did the poll a long time ago, but the next big work is going to be done on the 7-foot tank. I want to get that in a much more functional format. I have been going back and forth. I know I don't really talk about it that much. I was thinking about separating out maybe a half a dozen or 10 of the angels that are in there. They're getting quite nice now. But I think I'm going to do that in reverse. 7 feet of water is such a great spot for them to grow out quite nicely, and also for them to start selecting, for pairs and stuff. So I think I might leave them up there. But that'll be for Sunday's video. We'll go over some of that as well. The rest of this video is quite straightforward. I am going to just put these in. I am going to fill that with all gravel and plants and have that for Sunday. The filling and planting I might actually include in part of Sunday's video. The last bit of this is going to be showing you how that very simple bracket worked out. Again, brackets only have a force in one direction, that's straight down, and it is a solid piece of acrylic, so it will definitely hold. And you'll see when I put it on, it slides on perfectly easily, just like all the others. It does, again, like I said, not have any lateral stability, but that is not even remotely important in something like this. It just sits there and does its job. So these are going to actually be really kind of cool. I like how this is setting up. They're going to grow, well, they have, I think, about 2.5, 3 feet of space above them. So plenty of room for all the plants to grow, and that's actually going to be really kind of cool. This is probably going to be the last of the immersed plants I'm going to be doing for a while. I am going to alter some of the ones I have over the tops of some of my tanks, just to finish that all up. But I think I've I've put you guys through plenty of planter videos and that sort of stuff for quite a while. I am going to do one more, obviously, for the 7-foot tank. But so here you go. This is a very simple bracket. There's literally nothing to this. I could even trim this down quite a bit. I didn't bother because I just, like I said, it was just a quick knockoff. And there you go. That's all there is to that, and it does the job. And if you want to compare times, the one on the left again took over 3 hours, and this one took 10-15 minutes, and the same for the weld up version. It is much simpler to do that way. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think. The last clip here is going to be of the three of them side by side. They're all perfectly fine, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.